Welcome to One Eye Television. I'm here at Community Media of Staten Island, New York. Here I wanted to bring to you all my great show based around my art and my experience as being an artist. Through my art, I share with you all different techniques and different styles. Hope you all enjoy the show. Before we begin the main project, I wanted to share with you all this amazing story. This story is a trick. This is a trick that I learned creating art through another person that was an artist, and he was also homeless and struggling with drug addiction. And he also had one eye as I did. I met him in a rehab. And he used to create art, and at the time I really wasn't into art like that, but I loved to draw. So I used to sit and watch him, and he used to show me different techniques, different ways to create art. So he used to always create this eye, and I told him to teach me how to draw those eyes because he drew nice eyes. So as I began to watch him create this eye, and it was really amazing how he used 3 circles to create this amazing eye. So as you can see, I created 3 circles and with black, and the trick is to fill in the circle and go on the outside of the top 2 circles to create somewhat you can see as I continue to create. It's like an eye, and learning this from him, it was amazing to be able to watch him, to see him create beautiful art, and he inspired me to continue with my art, And this is something that I always understood, that being teachable and humble to learn from anyone can take you a long ways. So as I continue to create, I always use this technique in my art, when I'm creating eyes, or even when, as you can see, I'm using the shade to shade from dark to light. It's amazing how I learned that. I picked this straight up to me, and years later I still use this same technique. I haven't seen him in years, but I always remember him having one eye and creating art and he kind of gave me a short education on what it was like for him to create and draw with one eye, and that's the beauty of the eyes, you value your eyes. You don't value your eyes like you should, but when I lost my eye, I realized that how valuable my eyes were. So creating this type of art is to create eyes. I always draw eyes to explain what it's like, the value of the eye, so see how nice and detailed I created this eye. This is what you call art from a one-eyed artist. The Shoe Project. What does this project mean to me? This project means a lot to me. The reason why I wanted to create this project, because this project is based around an event that happened maybe 15 years ago. It was very painful. I learned a lot in my life due to this event, and I wanted to share it with you all through my creation of art. living on the streets in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So with my project, I hope y'all pay close attention to every line, every sketch, every detail of this shoot will describe the story and the pain and the suffering that I went through this art. So stay tuned. 15 years ago, I was homeless in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, struggling in life, lost, didn't know where my life was going. I was a slave to drugs, living on the streets, panhandling, stealing, doing whatever it took to survive on the streets. And the reason why I wanted to create this shoot, because this shoot played a big part of how I was living on those streets. Like I said, it was a very painful experience for me to go through those stages, but I also understand that those stages made me who I am today. And in this photo, you can see, in this video, you can see me creating this shoe, and you can see how I have like no measurement tapes, it's no erasing. It's just all creating this shoe from, I'm calculating everything in my mind, and as I'm creating this shoe, it's giving me that memory of what it was like for me walking the streets late night, out there in considered the jungle, and the reason why I wanted to create this shoe, right, is because when I was walking the streets, I used to walk the streets night and day, be so tired and worn out. So late night, I would try to find me somewhere to sleep, and also I had a bike. I either kept me a bike to ride, very often. Sometime I would have a bike, but this particular time I had a bike. And being homeless with a bike, that's like having a car. And a lot of times having a bike was like mercy on your feet, because riding a bike instead of walking on your feet, it was very relaxing. So as I continue to create this shoe, I want you to feel what it was like for me to be out there in those streets. So late night, maybe 1 or 2, 3 in the morning, it's a lot of times when you're homeless, you gotta always be alert. You always have to be aware of your surroundings. So for me to be out there in the streets in Florida, and by the way, I'm not from Florida, so I was in a whole big city and state where I didn't know no one. It was, and that's something where my drug addiction took me. So creating this shoe, I wanted you to understand that I would find places in the downtown area of the city, maybe, somewhere like a church or somewhere like out in the opening where there was a lot of light at night, and mainly, sometimes I would try to find other homeless people that was sleeping on the streets. That was, a lot of times they try to sleep together so they both kind of like have each other's back. So in so many words, but in my situation, I didn't really like being around a lot of homeless people, because I was struggling in my own world. As where I just wanted to be left alone. So what I would do, like I said, I would find places to sleep in, like open areas like a church or maybe a mosque or synagogue, anywhere I felt like, God was present, would watch over me if I fell asleep, because a lot of times it's very dangerous sleeping outside. And so, but the story behind this shoe is what this whole video is about. At night, I would take off one of my shoes, right? And I would use it as a pillow. And the other shoe, I will untie the shoe and I would take the shoestring and I would tie it around one of the spokes on one of my bikes, or on one of the wheels of my bike. So if I did fall asleep, and if someone, cause see, you gotta understand at night when you're asleep, you have other homeless people coming around, or not just homeless people, anybody that see you, out there sleeping and they see a bike, they may try to steal it. So what I would do, like I said, I would take my shoestring on the shoe that I left on my foot. I would take the shoestring and I would untie it, and I would tie my shoestring around the spokes of one of the wheels of the bike. So if someone tried to take the bike, my shoe will pull on me to wake me up. And the other shoe, like I told you, I would use it for a pillow. And now looking back and seeing this and feeling this as I tell you this story, now you understand what this shoe, the shoe, is all about. I know this story may sound very crazy, but this is the story of this shoe. That shoe was my pillow, and it was my comfort in the time of my homelessness. And a lot of times people that never been homeless, they would ask me what it was like, and how did I overcome it, And all I could tell you is that I did a lot of praying. I did a lot of soul searching. At night, I remember I used to look up when I used to be sleeping or just laying up, couldn't sleep, or then I felt as though, because like I said, it's kind of hard to sleep at night outside. So a lot of times I would look up into the stars and look at the moon and look at the sky, and I would just talk to God, the creator. I would just, and a lot of times I felt as though he didn't hear me. I felt as though I don't know. At first, in some areas of my life, I felt as though I was either cursed, or was this gonna be my life for the rest of my life? And thinking like that, I realized that a lot of times, a lot of people that's out there homeless feel that way, And like I said, I used to watch the stars. I used to count the stars. I used to watch people, late night. It's a different world at night, And so creating this shoe, as you can take it back to the shoe, as you can see, as I'm creating this shoe, you can see how I'm creating the details, different styles of shading, different lines. Right now I'm creating I'm really like picturing the shoe, on how my shoe really looked. Me laying there on the ground, and it was just a crazy experience to be homeless, and when I see homeless people on the streets, I always strive, if I can, help those people that's in need. Now, as you can see, I'm using a piece of tissue. This is a magic trick, I learned this trick years ago, how the tissue could smooth the lead. It can make the lead go smooth, the picture. A lot of people use their hands. A lot of people use different tools or techniques, but I like using tissue. The tissue is soft. It helps the graphite spread across the picture perfectly. So like I said, back to the story. For years, I was in and out of shelters. I was struggling in this life, and like I said, trying to find my way, and finding my way, it was hard, because when you grew up in the streets and the behaviors and the beliefs that you have, it's hard to change those perceptions, change that lifestyle, because it's really like something that's all you know. As you can see now, I'm creating with this piece of paper. It's getting the fine lines of the detail. I learned this trick as something that I used when I was incarcerated. This was something that I used as a technique to shade, to get the fine details. That what the tissue couldn't do. This thin piece of cardboard, piece of paper, it helps get the details where I really wanted to make the get the make the texture more real or whatever. And in creating this, you can see how I'm using it to really like give the form and bring out the lines, and it helps create this great detail. And I use it, still to this day. I use this same technique to do a lot of my pieces. But with this shoe, I wanted to try. I haven't used this piece of paper like this in a while, and I wanted to try it because the last time I think I used a piece of cardboard piece of paper, it was years ago. So I wanted to share with y'all that you don't have to have expensive supplies or things that you have to buy or whatever. You can find things around your house to create great art, and especially when I was homeless, these were some of the things that I would use to create art on the streets, to sell to people on the streets, and that was the blessing. When you're down on your luck, you can create things out of low budget things and make great art. So as I get back into the story, have anyone ever tried to do anything to me while I was asleep on the streets? No. And I thank the Creator that He watched over me as I slept those nights, those many nights. I didn't like going to shelters because shelters was more to me like jail. The same thing that's go on in prisons or in jail is the same thing going on in the shelters. It's the same people, just different faces. The same behaviors, all that. So, like I said, I took my chances on being, and also shelters had a curfew, so I felt as though I wanted to be out all night. And I don't know, it was just an experience for me years ago. Like I said, this was years ago that I went through this, and today I understand that it shaped me to who I am today. It gave me more passion and more. It gave me more passion for the people that I see struggling in this world. Because a lot of people look past them and they don't see them. They don't acknowledge the poor, the weak, the vulnerable, the hopeless people of this world. And that's what I think the Creator helped me to. I believe the Creator brought me out of that so I can be a voice for those people all over the world, and through me using my art to create. By being blind in one eye, a lot of people they be amazed. They be amazed about what I do with my art, but like I said, all my art is based around helping the world be a better place. Sharing my story through my art, selling my art. It's all for a greater cause to help the less fortunate people throughout this world. As you can see, as I continue to create this picture, now I'm coming back over with another layer with the pencil. The pencil is one of the tools that keeps the picture coming to life. The more you add to the picture with the graphite, using the pointed lead to continue to bring in more details, more darkness. And that's another thing about me creating art. I like to create art from dark to light to dark, the shading, and all those type of techniques helps me understand what I'm trying to calculate in my head. As you can see, I'm not using no eraser. I'm not using no rulers, no numbers, none of that. No graphics, no type of scales to measure. All this is being measured in my head. As I continue to calculate in my head, I continue to bring new ideas to what it's like to paint a picture. So as you can see, the picture is coming along pretty well. And the more I create this picture, the more I realize that the shoe that I wore through 15 years ago, it's a beautiful shoe for me, to share with y'all the story of what it was like being homeless on the streets and the struggle. The struggle was hard, but the picture of this shoe gives you every detail of what it was like for me walking those streets. And to be honest, I don't think I bought another shoe like that since. But every time I see one of these shoes, every time I see one of these shoes, it reminds me of what it was like being out there. But also, it helps me to be grateful that I no longer have to ever live like that again in life. And that's something that I strive daily to continue on by creating art, living life, and enjoying the beauty of life, and helping other people in the world. As you can see how I'm putting more details into this star and the things that's around it, as far as the circle. You see how the more I go over the top of what I have already sketched or created, you can see how the details of each layer, because like I told you all in my last show, each piece of paper, as the more you create on paper have layers. So the more you create on top of each layer, the more the picture have more depth, more details, and it has more value to it. That's another thing when I'm creating. I like to create the art to bring value to life of what I'm creating, and that's something that being an artist learn as they continue to create. But as you can see with this pencil that I'm using, you could tell that the pencil don't have no wood. It's just all lead. And one of the techniques that I like to do is I like to keep the pencil sharpened at all times, because keeping the pencil sharpened helps you get more details. It helps you get into those areas that you're trying to make from dark to light or light to dark. And that's the beauty of my techniques, to tell what it's like to be an artist. Before we go I would like to share with the world. I have a message for the world. One thing I learned about homeless people, or people who struggling with drug addiction, or just homeless people, mental health people that's struggling in life. Everyone has someone in their family that's struggling either from drugs, mental health, or just struggling in life. So my message through this piece of art project that I created, this shoe, as you can see as I'm finishing the details of this shoe, you can see the rough edges, the struggle, the hurt, the pain of a homeless person or someone struggling in their life through this shoe. So my message to you is, you see someone that's struggling or homeless in this world that need help or guidance, don't ignore them, because they need you. I'm not saying bend over backwards for someone, because a lot of times you have to be careful with who you help. But also just a kind word or acknowledging them, or opening the door for them, speaking to them is something that is more precious to a homeless person or someone struggling than you may think. A lot of times I just wanted people to acknowledge me as being human. So for all those who out there that had someone in their family that's either struggling from drug addiction, homelessness, mental health, things like that, just remember, this shoe is dedicated to all those people that can't speak for themselves, that want to speak but can't speak, that want to be able to live a beautiful life but they can't, that want to be able to go into a restaurant and buy whatever they want, to want to be able to go into a mall and buy a pair of clothes, socks, underwear. That's another thing that I realized when I was out there being homeless on the streets. There was I had went to the mall in years to be able to buy me what I wanted, outfit, things like that. So I dedicate this shoe, this art, this piece of art to those who's struggling in this world that need help and guidance. So if you see someone out there struggling in this world that need help and guidance, reach out to them and help them. All we need is some tissue. This is considered, different types of brushes. This here. Pencil, razor. Thanks for watching One Eye Television. My name is Shaheed. Stay tuned for the next episode.